She left out the part of how wonderful I am and generous and handsome. Unfortunately, thank you for that. I appreciate it very much. What I would like to talk about today is what I call 21st century snake oil salesmen. And I submit to you that we have more snake oil salesmen alive today than we've had in the history of the planet. Now, snake oil goes back and refers to what was known at the time of a lot of the Chinese immigrants were working on the Transcontinental Railroad. And they had extracted something which presumably, it's all rumor, was from snakes, and they would apply it, however, rub it on arthritic joints or pain. They worked them pretty hard on the railroad going across America. And it became known as snake oil. Well, eventually, what came of the snake oil persona was that this represented a person who was pretending to be a medical expert. And they would go into small towns, as you've seen in the Western movies, and they would be selling an elixir of some sort out of the back of a wagon. They would have a person planted in the audience to say how wonderful it was. They would sell their product, get in their wagon, and drive out of town before anyone realized that this stuff was just nothing to it. It didn't work. And that's where the whole concept of snake oils came from. Now today, we have products out there, the dietary supplements, that are definitely in the category of snake oil. I went on Amazon recently on the computer and just looked at the titles to a lot of the books that are there on antioxidants. And I'm sure all of you have heard of antioxidants now. Superfoods, going to give you super immunity. You're going to live forever. Your skin's going to be beautiful. You'll never get heart disease. You'll never get cancer. You'll never get diabetes. You'll never get arthritis. Those are snake oil salesmen. These things are all classified as foods. According to the DHEA, the Department of Health and Education, they're not medications, so they're not tested. None of them are tested for either efficacy, that is if they work, or for safety. You assume because it comes in a bottle and looks like a pill that it's going to be good for you. And there are three things in America that we tend to believe if we hear the word is going to be good for you. Those three words are: one is therapy, two, medicine, and three, vitamins. Well, all of those have got to be good for you, right? Let's just look at medicines alone. Approved medicines, FDA tested, kill 106,000 people a year in a conservative estimate. That's a conservative estimate. And that's medicines that are given per the instructions that they should be given. There's another 110,000 that are killed when they're not given for what they're prescribed for. You add those together, and you have the third leading cause of death in Americans. Medicines. Let alone the millions that these medicines put in the hospital in the emergency rooms every year. You never hear anything about that. All you hear on the TV is to take more medicines. Consult your doctor. Talk to your doctor about it. Ask your doctor about it. More medicines. I promise you that today we are smart enough biochemically to develop medicines that can kill you graveyard dead. So you have to be careful of what you are taking. And when it comes to these antioxidants, as we said, they're not regulated. Just let me give you a couple of the titles from the internet. The Antioxidant Miracle. They will change the face of healthcare in the 21st century. The new Super Antioxidant Plus. Natural antioxidants can reduce your risk of heart disease, cancer, and Alzheimer's. Use the power of antioxidants to prevent disease and stay healthy for life. The cutting-edge antioxidant-based program that will make you healthy, thin, and beautiful. Antioxidants against cancer. The antioxidant revolution. That's all the language of snake oil salesmen. Remember, they're not tested. And in the little handout that we gave you there, you will see that there are only 4 words that all of these antioxidant salesmen can't use. They can say that it strengthens, bolsters, makes you stronger, all of these things. So it comes down to just playing with words to make you believe something that is not true. In the years of research that I've done in this area, I have found that not only do the antioxidants not help decrease the rate of cancer, heart disease, and strokes, they increase the risk of cancer, heart disease, and strokes, and your chance of dying by a conservative estimate of 5%. You don't hear that on the TV, do you? You don't hear that on the Dr. Oz show, or from Dr. Andrew Weil, or Dr. Deepak Chopra. Oh wait, they're selling these things. Could there be a profit motive involved? You bet there is. A monster profit. On the little handout there, you will see that the dietary supplements, a $28 billion industry. And that's a conservative estimate. With over half of the country taking these things every day. There's an old saying about marketing and advertising that Will Rogers made, and I love it. He said, it's the ability to get people to spend money they don't have on something they don't need. Well, that's exactly what's happening in the dietary supplement area, especially when it comes to the vitamins. The vitamins A, vitamin C, and vitamin E. If you're eating a balanced diet, that is by far your best source of these vitamins. Because when we try to go into a plant, such as broccoli, or a tomato, such as lycopene, or any of these agents where we try to extract what we think is the single thing from that that is doing you some good, it doesn't work like it does when it's with the whole tomato, when it's with the whole pepper, when it's with the whole eggplant. These things are combinations of tens of thousands of compounds. And for us to isolate out a little chemical concoction and say that that's what's doing you some good is just wrong. Now, the one thing that I did agree with Dr. Weil on one occasion, which is rare, is when there was an advertisement for a product called sulforaphane, and it's found in broccoli, and it is an antioxidant. And so someone was asking him about it, and he said, well, when you take this, you're not taking broccoli. You're taking sulforaphane, and that's all you take. The broccoli is good for you, but this sulforaphane extract does not work like it does when it's contained in broccoli, in fresh fruits and in fresh vegetables. Now, the people, as we say here, take these things for a quick fix. They're all looking for a magic pill. I've used my diet, I've used myself, and I want a magic pill that's going to turn all of that around for me. So I'm going to take these supplements, because all of these people, all these advertisements, the superfoods, the super supplements, they can't be lying to me, can they? These things are really good. It doesn't cost that much. $19.95, I can get a bottle of 100, and if I order it today, they'll send me 2 bottles of it. They might even send me a gallon jar of it. But the point being, as you see in the handout again, in 2007, a journal of the American Medical Association, on subjects that were over 250,000 people, they showed that the antioxidant vitamins A, vitamin C, and vitamin E, they increase the incidence of cancer, heart disease, and strokes, and your chances of dying. Those things you just do not hear on the public media. You do not see them in the public press because it doesn't sell products. It's all about, as Will Rogers said, getting you to spend money you don't have on something that you don't need. The bad part also is that these antioxidants can wipe out the effects of exercise. And exercise is one of the things that if you go through all of the scientific literature, you find is really good for you across the board. Boy, I wish it wasn't so hard to do though, huh? But it does work. But most of the experts scratch their head and say it works, but we don't know why it works. But if you look at the data, it decreases the risk of cancer, heart disease, strokes, diabetes, arthritis, across the board. Well, the obvious reason that it works is because you're consuming, if you're exercising, 15 to 20 times the normal amount of oxygen that you are as when you're at rest. Now, oxygen is a fascinating compound, a molecule. It has two, and we won't get into the details of this, unpaired outer orbital electrons, which means it's a diradical. The things, these free radicals they talk about that are killing us all, well, oxygen is a diradical. We should all be keeling over right now from breathing this diradical, but we're not. As a matter of fact, if we're deprived for just minutes, what happens to us? We start to lose consciousness. If it's more than a few minutes, we lose consciousness completely, we become comatose. If it's a little longer than that, we die. The one thing that all humans have in common is that we all are obligated to breathe oxygen. And it's produced a drive in us that's greater than the drive for food, greater than the drive for water. It's the drive to breathe. Talk to anyone who's had a drowning experience or a near-death experience from strangulation, and they'll tell you how strong that drive is. And it's there from the moment of our birth till the time of our last breath. We don't think about it. It's just a natural. And 1 in every 5 molecules in this air is oxygen. 1 in every 5. And yet there's prominent scientists who are saying oxygen is the very thing that is killing us. And I tell them, look, Forrest Gump could figure this out. This just takes good old common horse sense. This doesn't take MDs and PhDs or anything else. I tell them, just use the pinch your nose test. Pinch your nose for about 5 minutes and don't cheat my mouth breathing. And then we'll talk about how bad oxygen is, okay? Hasn't had any takers on that yet. Because it's that obvious of the need for oxygen. And when we take in this oxygen in what we call its ground state, the body starts to do rather miraculous things to it. It starts to add electrons to it. And this is when oxygen really takes on incredible properties. This is how we kill bacteria and pathogens that come into our body. This is how we fight cancer that's forming in us all of the time. When I started doing a lot of this research, I had to change my thinking. Particularly, let me say, with cancer, where you think you're going along in life, doing good, your 5th, your 6th, your 7th decade, you suddenly develop cancer. It's not that way. The potential for cancer is always there. Hence, we see children born with cancer at times. But our body has the ability to recognize these cancer cells. And then it tells these cancer cells to kill themselves. It's a thing called apoptotic execution, big long name. Well, how does the body tell it to kill itself, the cancer cell? It does it with these little oxygen molecules. It's just like we see that this called cellular signaling. If we see a red light, we stop. We see a green light.